All right, so you have a table full of a lot of money, and she's earning this amount each month, $800 each month. So if we're looking at all this, it's asking all kinds of percentages, so we need to find a percent. So 100% would be the $800 she's earned. 10%, if you knock off a zero, that's $80. Now, if you double it, 20% would be $160, and you could see the pattern. That way you can do anything you want. Remember, 25% is just divide by 4. So you take the 100, divide by 4, and you get $200. So that's just some estimates you could use in your head or off to the side to get percentages of the $800. If she spends 10%, well, 10% is $80. That would be food and clothing. That adds up to $150. So that is not adequate. And you keep going. 25%, of course, is dividing this by 4, because that is a quarter of something. And you get $200. You add that, the car payment is $275. So that's incorrect. 20%, we already calculated as $160. So it's 20%. Remember, you could just do 0.2 times this, because all percents mean multiply. So you could multiply 0.2 times this, and you're going to get 160, and this says $200. So that one is incorrect. 50% or half, obviously, $400. Half of that, 0.5 times this. And you add those up, and the cell phone and car add up to 400, so that is your final. So again, you could estimate your percents by doing this first, and then it helps you with the numbers, because these are all easy percents. Or you could just sit there and multiply. Times 0.1 times 800 will get you 80. 0.25 times 800 will get you 200. 0.2 times 800 gets you 160. So mean multiply. An easy two-step equation. The problem is they're wanting you to work with your integers. So we're going through, draw your line right away. First step is you are going to do the opposite. So you get rid of positives, you got to have 2 negatives, and you write it twice. 2 negatives add up to a larger negative, so you add them up. It's just a bunch of negatives. Divide by a positive number, and then you get a negative divided by a positive, which gets you a negative. Remember, 2 negatives make a positive, but there's only one, so it stays. All right, so let's read the table right here. Golf balls are more likely to be green than all other. Well, green, there's only 18, and all other, these add up to 19 themselves, so that's not accurate. The golf balls is equally likely mean equal to pink and white, orange and green. No, they're not equal to each other. So that's one's out. Golf balls is 2 times is likely to be orange than pink. Well, pink, I would multiply by 2, and I get orange. So it's 2 times, meaning twice as likely. So that is the correct answer. All right, so the big thing about this one is it's giving you this information. So 2 or 6 pi is already in it. So that means this is your diameter, because C equals pi d. So this is your d. So draw out a circle and label that diameter. And that's where this information comes. Now don't forget, you got to divide it in half to get the radius, because that's what you need to find the area. So all this information is just to find the radius. Divide it by 2. So you have then 3 times 3, which is 9, times pi, and you get your answer. This one, you got to definitely know your formula for circumference and area very well. All right, so this is just like the graph that we did and just analyzing. So first step, this plus 14 is the one where it crosses that line. So if I was to draw a table, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It would cross right up there. And that's what that line is telling you, hey, it's got to cross at that angle or that spot, that intercept. And that means this is 0, 14. So that means this one's out because that one is 0, 0. So all of these other ones, C, B, and D, work because it's 0 and 14. Now the other ones, that means it's increasing by a half for every one. Well, these aren't increasing by ones, so that makes it kind of difficult. So what you can do is plug in a 5, just plug in any number. You can plug in a 10 if you want, because these all have 10s. Plug in a 10, and that is 0.5 times 10 plus 14. Well, I know 10 is just 5 plus 14, so I know the answer across from my 10 must be a 19. Notice that's a 15, and that's a 64. So C is the correct answer. Plug and play. Plug any of your X's in, these are your questions, and this is the answer you should get. All right, these are kind of hard to pick out because you're wanting by what percentage was the price of TV reduced. So it is a percent, and you're like, wow, how do I do that? And all you need to know is the formula difference over original. So anytime it's a percentage and they want to know the reduction or increase or decrease, that is a percent of change. How is that percentage changing up or down? So that is difference over original. So the difference is literally the difference between the two prices. So you subtract and you get 50. The original is the first price, what it started as. So that is the 250. Now you can divide those and then change to a percent by moving twice. So that's 20%. All right, we've already seen plenty of these. You're setting up your proportion and it's centimeters to kilometers, so you're comparing. Pick those numbers out, set it up. Make sure you're looking at the color coding because you need to know which ones are next to each other. So 4 and 20 have to be on top of each other or next to each other when you set this up. Number 50, each. We looked at those key words. Each, that means that's what you're multiplying by. And then he bought the water, that's up front. That's like a fee up front, or what he got right away. And that is your $2. So basically, how many hot dogs am I buying for $3 each? Plus I already spent $2 on my water, and that must be less than or equal to $14. This must be less than, because I can't go larger than 14. I don't have the money. So you have your equation right there. The munchie must eat the 14, which is the total amount of money you have. All right, so now we're just comparing range and mode and all that mess. Remember, mode is most. Mode means most. So you're looking at this, the tallest one, there's a whole bunch of ones. And on this one, there's a whole bunch of ones also. So the mode is the same for both. I'm sorry, the mode is the number one for both. The range is the data. So notice the 6 is the largest number, 0 is the smallest. This one, the largest number is at 8, and the smallest number is one of these zeros. So the range is different. Now, symmetrical means it's kind of balanced on both sides. So that does not work. The answer is talking about the mode, meaning most, and they're the same number. Your mode is 1 and your mode is 1. We're not talking about the quantity, just that the number that repeats the most is 1. All right, 4 sections of this banner. Now notice the trapezoids. Those are 2 traps right there, back to back, and then the 2 triangles on either side. So find the area of the trapezoid, 1/2 B1 plus B2. Now the B's are the parallel sides. This is 2, and that is 1.25. So you have your 2 bases, these 2, 1 and 2. So your bases are always parallel, don't forget. And the height is this one, which is the same as that. So that's why you're using the 1 right there. So you work that out and you get the area for that trapezoid. And that means it's one of these and those 2 right there. Next, you're finding the triangles. Now the triangle tells you already that height is this and that base. So it's easy to use this triangle over here because 1.25 and 1.75, and you don't forget to divide by 2. And it says estimate, so I'm just rounding this. When I divide 2.18, I'm just dividing 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So you get these as ones. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4, plus these other ones are out 5, a little bit more, and the reasonable answer is 6. All right, we're talking about probability. So randomly choosing a book, and all you're doing is finding a adventure book. We're not putting it back, we're not choosing another one, so it's just one fraction. If I was choosing 2 books, it would be 2 fractions. 3 books, it would be 3 fractions. But I'm just choosing one book, and it needs to be adventure, 3 out of 18. And all this is a simplifying problem. Just make sure you can simplify. Divide by 3, you get 1. Divide by 3, and you get 6. All right, so 30 miles in 1 hour. The bottom is always time, and that is 1 hour. So that needs to be increasing by 1. Notice those are increasing by 5, 30, 30. This is the only one increasing by 1, which doesn't have to be, because these are increasing by 30. So the ratio has to be a 1 to 30 ratio on what it's increasing by.